video, the video kind of confirmed what you're saying and something that I wanted to bring out today. There was a prophet, because I always watch, I'm always trying to learn. So I'm always looking up videos, sermons, and things like that. And she said the main characteristic behind fear is rejection.
Mm.
And that kind of stood out to me because I believe that's true. You know, we have that fear of being rejected, but she's just saying, you know, you pray and you believe in God, I guess, to heal you and relieve you from that. The spirit, ask him to take away that spirit of rejection from you, and that spirit of fear. We say we have faith, but we got to deal with those things first. And one thing that I see in like pretty much all these examples is basically all the wealthy examples in the book, they have faith. They lean on God. Like you said, they're not afraid. Even if they fail, they kind of keep going. But what I struggle with, I feel like I'm a talented person. I know I am. I guess that fear kicks in, but it's like, which gift do I use? You know, like, how do you find out the dominant one, your strengths, and then go from there? From reading this, like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way or if you have identified your strengths, but that's something that I'm like, okay, where do I go with it? I know I'm a people person. I know I love coaching and developing. But I have ideas like you, like the chin thing. I started looking that up. Since it's just us, I'm talking a little bit more.
Oh yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Because I gained weight during the pandemic, and Sharon, I had no idea. You brought it up, but it's something I need because my face is round, you know. So I found this thing on Amazon that it contours your face. It looks like the mesh thing that we put around our hair and mesh, like the net thing to make it lay down, but it contours your face. Like, you wrap your face this way and the mesh is at the top, but it kind of contours your face at night and gets rid of this. So I ordered it. Yeah, but it's something that people need. And I'm gonna share this with y'all too. Like, my idea, and I don't know if it's out there, but I know people in my family are insecure about having dark lips at the top. So like a lip balm that would help lighten for those that are insecure about things like that, especially women. So that's something I've been thinking about, but not knowing where to start, kind of like to my goal. I know I missed the last 2 meetings due to vacation and being sick, but my goal, because I may have missed when everyone discussed what they were going to start on, is to just look into what it takes to start that. Or I want to get into real estate, flipping, and like getting into rental properties and things like that, in addition to what I do. Health, I love healthcare. So that's my thing. The lip lightener, like you have the thing for your double chin.
Yeah.
So I want to look into what it takes. Even if I don't invest in a property this year, I'm still hoping to. My first one. But what does it take to invest in that first property? What does it take to get that lip balm out in the industry and to sell it? I don't know. I have no idea. I have ideas, but I don't know what it takes to get it done.
Where to start with it?
Where to start? That's the problem I have.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then just knowing that my main strengths or that main talent, I think I have many, but I really don't know. Again, that's fear, I guess, and rejection behind. I think I have faith, but I need to work on it.
You did just start. I mean, I think that is it. It's one, identifying kind of the things that you do want to work on. And I think that's what he's even talking about in chapter 4. As we go on to chapter 4, he's talking about writing these goals down, how a lot of people, matter of fact, we could even jump into 4. Let's just jump into 4. Because he talks about in 4, he says that a lot. And I'll be honest with you, in 4, it says, to thine own self be true. And I think Tom and I was talking about it earlier before we got on the camera, is how he was a little bit more sporadic in this particular chapter, but the overall, I guess, commonality to all the people he was, because he talked about a lot of people in this particular chapter.
Yeah.
And he touched on Carla Harris a whole lot, actually. He talked about her for a while and came back. But the theme, exactly what you're saying, is that all these people started off probably in poverty or poor, but they had a goal or a dream, and they wrote these goals down. And what they realized, and I think it was on one of these pages that I read right before I got on, and I'll see if I can find it. It was just saying how if it was saying that a study he made up, I think it was from Harvard Law School. It was, that's what it was. Harvard Law School. He was saying how those people, all everybody in Harvard, of course, all of them have very high IQ. It takes a lot to get into Harvard, business school, law school, whichever one he was talking about. Yeah. But he was saying how most of them, he said maybe 10% of those who actually wrote out their goals, those are the ones who actually was more successful, who were able to obtain those six-figure incomes that they aspired to get. Whereas the ones who did not do that, the ones who just were going to Harvard. That's what they were told to do. They didn't have a plan. They just did what was expected of them. A lot of times they were just, they may have met, and I'm pretty sure they weren't meeting minimum standards, but I'm pretty sure they were probably not, high six figures. They were probably ones who made pretty decent money, but they weren't exactly where they wanted to be. Yeah. And so I think really you're answering your own question. You first start off, what am I really wanting to start off with, knowing that you have multiple things. I think it's good to kind of find some research on each one of them, and then even see if there's something out in the market that's already out there, and then go from there. I mean, I think that's kind of where, like myself, and you probably know this now, I've always wanted to be a motivational speaker. I always have wanted to be. And I have, be honest with you, Tasha, I have been holding myself back with just not pushing myself forward. And I think I said this, and if I hadn't said it on this call, I know I've said it before on a couple of things in my John Maxwell classes, as I'm in John Maxwell speaking and training speaker in something else, certification class now.
Oh, you're doing that. Good.
Yeah. And so what I've learned is that we always focused on our job. And I know you well enough to know that that's really what you were doing too.
Yes.
We work so hard for these companies, and that's why he said something. And I apologize. I got everything orange on here, but I don't have it highlighted, the particular one I'm talking about. But he was saying to the fact that we put so much time into these jobs that is it and we're not fulfilled in them. But we know that we have to go to work, that we have to make a living. But at the end of the day, we're so drained and tired from that particular job. By the time it is for our own dreams, for things that we want to do for ourselves, we don't have the time, the space, or the energy. And that we're sitting here constantly every week dreading.
Yes.
On Sunday night, as we call it, the Sunday night dread, that you want to get up Monday morning. You hate Monday mornings because you got to start your week off again. And so what's happening is that he's just saying we're putting all our energy into something that really is not fulfilling us, but we think we're supposed to be able to get some type of fulfillment out of it, some type of as Tom calls it, just over broke. It's called a job. Yeah. What happens is that we're fulfilling somebody else's need and not our own. And now what we have to start thinking a little bit differently. Like he said, most wealthy people, they starting to think, okay, this is great. This is a good job, it's a good stepping stone, but it should be more. Yeah. And so I think what you're saying, and just like I'm thinking the same thing, is kind of like, what do I like? What do I love? What is my calling? What is my gift? And I think this is a great opportunity. And that's why I think this book is really good, because it makes us start to think different. Because even now, with my job now, I think differently. I don't give them all my time. Yes. I don't let them stress me. I look, I'm gonna give you what I give you. Absolutely. And I'm gonna move on. And I think, and I know for a fact, me and you had that struggle. We had that struggle. When I went on leave and came back, that's where I was. And I found that with, I guess, being that way, I got more done and I felt better. The work was still going to be there the next day. I just had to prioritize and have more of a work-life balance. Nothing was different except for I wasn't as stressed, every day. So the job still got done. And what you're saying, I read, I think it was in chapter 3. This is what I want. All of these wealthy people that are doing what they love, they work more hours,
but they don't look at work as chores because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And it's just finding what that is, you know, like what is that I, you know, I have a cosmetology license too, and I don't really do hair anymore. But I remember I would be in the salon, I would be up at 6 in the morning until 6 in the afternoons. And it didn't feel like a chore because I loved what I was doing. I don't want to go back to that because I have back problems, but maybe there's something else I could do. Maybe I can make wigs. I mean, just different things, multiple streams of income.
Maybe you could own a salon. Maybe you could own the salon. And I think that's the things that I think we gotta think bigger.
Yeah, because I kept my license. I still have it just in case. But yeah, just doing that thing. So I know that that's true. What you love. I may have been tired, but I didn't mind being up at 6 a.m. ready for my first client. Didn't bother me at one whatsoever. 12-hour days didn't bother me. And I would do that like sometimes 6 days per week. No, that's not healthy. I know better now, and there will be better balance. But the point is, that's before I got pregnant with Kennedy.
Yeah.
So the point is, when you do what you love, and I was making good money, I was on my way out of Amerisource, then here comes Kennedy. So now I'm looking at benefits and all of that.
Of course.
So
your life changes. Your life choices change, especially with children. And Tom and I can attest to that because, you know, a lot of people don't know that when I became permanent, I was pregnant with Sarai. I was like about 5 months, 6 months pregnant with her. And, you know, I had been there so many years, and you know, they let me go, you know, of course with the blizzard and different things. And finally I told Tom, look, if they don't hire me this time, I'm not coming back. And this is my second career. I mean, I've been a trainer before, I managed people, I've done all these things, but I'm sitting here trying to get into an entry-level position. And that tells you kind of what the job market was back in 08, 07, 08. You know, it wasn't great because that's when the housing bubble hit and different things. And I think people were really to the point where they're like, okay, I got to get something because like you said, you get benefits. And when you have a child, I mean, I couldn't wait on the money part. I had to get the benefits in. So when they offered me the job, I was able to take it and different things and I knew eventually I would work my way back up, and I did, but it was the situation, like you said, you know, what else is there? You know, sometimes we get so with the need, like Maslow's, he talks about Maslow's hierarchy of needs again. He talks about that here in here as well. He talks about how, you know, that you have to work on kind of what those needs are, but everybody still needs a sense of fulfillment. Absolutely. And so I think once we get the steady, that's when we have to start thinking about, okay, so then what's next? Not get complacent. And I think that's kind of in the African-American community, I think that's kind of some of the things that we do is we get complacent. Oh, I got a good job. Oh, I work for a good company and all those things. But then we get in there and we realize we're like, oh God, but I'm stagnant. I'm not moving. I'm not getting where I think I need to be. Oh, you told me this is a track I should be on, but I'm doing what you say to do, but I'm not getting anywhere. And then what happens, it gets to disillusion. You get disillusioned. You get to the point where you really don't want to be there as much. Then what happens is that your drive, your motivation, those things going slowly, your performance lacks as well. And so it's kind of like at some points you got to really kind of, like you said, okay, once I get to this certain place, then okay, what is next? We always should have a what's next.
Yep.
I think that's what they talks about that in 4. But to your point, in 3, I think on page 148, he said millionaires lesson number 4. When you make up your mind that you're done with poverty, that you will have nothing more to do with it, that you are going to erase every trace of it from your appearance, your manner, your speech, your actions, your home, your associates, that you are no longer going to tolerate poverty or just up with it or just something. I can't see that, guys. It says that you will have charted your new direction centered squarely on competence and independence, and shutting down nothing on earth can turn you from your goal. You will be amazed to discover the newfound power, the replete with confidence, reassurance, self-respect, prosperity, resolve within the wealth of your divine destiny.
Yep.
And I was like, when I read that, I mean, and I love these millionaire lessons that he has. He's saying when you decide, regardless of what that vehicle is, because that's what you're saying. Those ideas, because remember he talked about you get 4 ideas a year.
Yes.
Those are your ideas for this year. You're writing those down and you're trying to figure out what vehicle you need to go next. And the good thing about it is that you've already stated it.
Yes.
Just that, and I think that's kind of what I was saying to myself too, is that I think this book, it resonates with me because I'm like, okay, I'm not necessarily on the track of the wealth part. No, Tom, he's all about wealth. And I know
good balance.
Oh yeah, he's all about that money, about the wealth, and he'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay.
But I'm about fulfillment. I'm about drive. I'm about having a passion. I get it, like you said, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm ready to rock and roll and do that job and keep it moving. So I know eventually, and that's why I've been saying my testimony and pushing myself. It's like, okay, you want to be a speaker. You are a great trainer already. Yes. I already train well and things of that nature. So I've done that for many years. But it's time to step out, like you said, the comfort zone and start doing those things. So what I'm writing down is, like you were saying, the action plan is for me to start doing, and that's what I was, even with this, it's like masterminds and those things like that. And this is kind of what a mastermind is, really, this book club and different things like that. And so those are the things that I've been kind of working on. And I think that's the same thing that you're going to be working on. It's like, okay, which one of these 4 speaks to me, speaks to my heart? I know they were talking about Michelle Hopkins, and I'm pretty sure it's Michelle. It may have been Clara Harris, but one of them, they were talking about how, no, it was Clara Harris in chapter 4. She was saying how the vocation that you choose has to speak to your heart.
Yeah.
And you have to be able, something that you thrive with and you love. And I'm just thinking that, with just all the things that they were talking about in this chapter 4, he was talking about even the guy, the Windbush guy. I'm glad I got to this. The Windbush, he was a cousin of Angela
Windbush, right?
Which was really cool to hear. It says, Amos Windbush, and he was saying that he was going to he said he thought he was going to have his fame and fortune in the recording industry, or being a singer. And something happened to where his cell phone, something happened with his cell phone or something like that.
Cool. That was really cool. Yeah.
That was cool. And how he all his stuff was gone, and he's fussing with probably whoever the carrier is. And Tom and I both used to work for a company, for AT&T Mobility. And so you understand that lost data, people screaming at you trying to get, hey, what happened to my stuff? So anyway, he thought
So he's one of the masterminds behind syncing electronic devices. I thought that was awesome, just knowing that. Oh my God, that's awesome. Yes, awesome.
And when I read this, I mean, I knew all that was out there, but I didn't really pay it a whole lot of attention. I was like, I'm going to start paying attention to some of these companies. I think it's Cyber Saints LLC. Yeah, Cyber Saints LLC. And he really just talked about how he had this great idea. He didn't see anybody else doing that. And he started it from his kitchen in his home and started to work on those things. And he almost went bankrupt with it.
Wow.
Went bankrupt with it. And I think he was able to turn it back around in order for this particular company. I think it said about $6 million, I can't remember what it says here on here, but he was just saying how, he started off in his kitchen, and that they would go to different coffee shops and different things because they really didn't have an office. And how he started off with that sinking business, and then now it's been spread over to other different businesses, and how he had one great idea that no one else at the time was doing. But of course, that's not something that he had many years to think about. He had to, as soon as he thought about it, he had to act then. And and what he was able to do was really bring that thought into fruition. So he was just saying 2 qualities shared by nearly all successful men and women. They know who they are.
Yes.
I think that's so great. And that has to go back to the fear piece.
Yes.
When you know who you are and you're confident in your abilities, and I think some of those fears go away.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that he's saying. They possess a keen sense of what makes them tick. They understand their own motivations, and mostly they have mastered the difficult task of deciphering their unique gifts, talents, and abilities.
Yes. Yes.
That is so neat, because a lot of times when we talk through these different processes and we talk about what we want to do, it has to be something that is you're passionate about. It just can't be a job where I want to go in. I will be horrible at accounting.
Same. Yeah.
That wouldn't do anything for me. I think I would probably pass out if I had to do finances all day, because I hate it.
I would too.
But to sit here and talk to people all day, this I love. I can do this all day and not get paid about it. So it's like, I know one of my unique gifts. The second piece, he said, they are obsessed with playing to their strengths, and ensure they are driven by the rightly crafted goals matched only with the discipline and skill set to achieve their objectives. So that goes back to setting goals. Knowing yourself well enough to know what your gift is, but then also writing on paper somewhere that you have certain goals, and then you're setting those time frames for those goals, and then you start to achieve those goals. So I think that's kind of what we've been saying, is that, okay, not only is it good first for us to know who we are, but we also got to know what goal are we trying to set for ourselves. And I think we all are saying, okay, our action plan, this is my goal. Then we need to start working on, okay, so what is my next step? How do I get to the next step? What is that? What does the next step look like? And so hopefully these next couple of chapters, he'll talk through that. But he talked about Amos Winbush. He talked about who else on here, guys? And don't let me talk.
I think now Peoples inspired me. The next person. And the reason why is because I've stayed at Royal Palms. So I was just amazed again that an African American had that idea from, I think, being on vacation at a resort. And he ended up making, I think his real estate holdings are valued at approximately 500 million now. But what I got out of this chapter, I didn't finish it. I'm going to be honest, because I've been behind. What I've gotten out of this chapter is that it's not just how smart you are, it's your character too. Yeah. So that really resonated with me, and everything that you just read about Winbush as well. I highlighted the same things, but I was amazed with People's story as well. I was just amazed with that, because like I mentioned to you guys, I've actually been on vacation looking at condos and saying, wow, I would love to purchase one of these condos at a beach resort or a cabin in the mountains. Yes. Hey, you know, but did you guys discuss vision boards? Because you're saying write it down. Like I missed two, but I know they work. I haven't done one in years, but I'm getting ready to do one again, because if you see it, you write the goals down and you see it, it just brings it back to you, so you can't forget. Like, you get off track, you put it in a place that you see it every day, you're going to get back on track if it's something that you really want to do. So write it down and put it somewhere where you can see it. I think some people put their goals in the Bible, and you should be opening that and reading it. But well, I shouldn't say that, but
you're right. You should be opening up.
Right audience,
right audience. You're right. You should be opening it up and putting your thoughts and your dreams, aspirations, and praying about them, because that's how they come true. Because every person in here talked about their faith first.
Sure did. Even Tyler Perry. Yeah.
Tyler Perry.
I even say you take it to the next step, Tasha. If you're not already doing it, this is what I did years ago. My vision board. Not only do I write,
I'm gonna say your vision board.
Also cut out pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only write, so I'm gonna add pictures.
Yeah, add pictures, and just like you go and look at these condos when you're on vacation. I know everybody has like a dream car or some jewelry, something they want. If you got a car that you really like, you should go to a dealership and tell them to give you the key, let you sit in, let you smell that thing.
Yeah.
And then take a picture of it and put it on your vision board.
Right.
Might be a big Mercedes Benz, might be a Bentley, it might just be a Ford Escort, if that's what you want.
Right. Hey, that's true.
Yeah.
And put it on your vision board. So and also, because I find that I always want to tell you that write it down. That should be the first thing you do. but actually having a visual representation of that, that just embeds it and burns that into your brain.
Yeah.
And so you'll be seeing that vision board while you're sitting at work, and the vision board's not even there.
Yeah, because what I did, I put mine by my nightstand so that when I go to sleep, when I wake up, I see it every day. Even with building my credit years ago, I'm serious. I built my credit. I bought my house. I bought a car. Everything from that vision board. I need to get back to writing it down. And like you said,
you know it works. You know it works.
Yeah, because if I got off track, I see it every day. Let me get back on track. You know.
Yeah, no.
Well, thank you. I'm going to add pictures. I'm going to do my vision board within the next. I'm going to give myself a week to get it done.
Yeah, no. I mean, even if you don't get it done in a week, but at least you're working towards it. Because I think that's probably something I need to kind of work on too. But I just like that, you know, some of the things that Kimbrough talks about in here, and it has to do with finances, but it also, like you said, still has to do with setting the goals. He's like, what are you doing to increase your current income?
Right.
How much money will you be worth at age 65? He asked that question, and I was like, you know what? Have I really asked myself that? Have I really asked myself the second question? Of course, you know, I've been asking myself the first one, how can I increase my income? I talk about this all the time, and Tom knows that I'll say, you know, we need multiple streams of income. So like you were saying, talking about, you know, we went to Tybee Island a couple weeks ago, and I was like, okay, how can I own this? Why am I sitting here renting? I need to be owning these things, and I'm taking pictures of this stuff. And so, like you said, I took a picture of one of the houses that was very pretty there. And so that'd probably be on my vision board and stuff. I mean, these are I'm trying to think differently. And like this one, this is on page 159. He says, if you are to walk among the financial elite, you must alter your habits, refine your thinking, develop key relationships, embrace the unlimited possibilities that lie within your reach, and take control of your life. That's it in a nutshell, is that we're thinking differently. Just starting to read this book, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of us probably had already started to think this way, because we're approaching the middle age, and with some of us. And so what's happening is that we're, like you said, we're trying to think, okay, how much money will I be worth at 65? I'm coming back to that second question again. I'm like, you know, I don't want to be working till I'm 70 years old. I really don't want to work till I'm 65 either. I really want to retire before then. So what he's saying is that we have to be able to alter our habits, find our thinking. And so we're doing some of that. We're developing key relationships. We're doing that now, even with this book club. People that are like-minded, that are wanting to learn a little bit more about necessary finances, and like I said, this is not a financial book. It's a thought. It's a thought process book. It's a thinking provoking book that helps us to think differently.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, embracing the unlimited possibilities that lie within your reach. So I thought that was really good, because he talks about, I think he was talking about Carla Harris and how she is one of the top financial people. She used to be the managing manager for Morgan Stanley, and he kind of just talked about how she had a lot of financial goals, and a lot of people came to her and talked through the different things like that and everything. And actually, he kind of was very sporadic here, so that's why I'm sporadic today, because he kind of talked about her a little bit. He talked about how what is this is something about John F. K, but I can't remember how it ties into it. But he's saying people counted on her in reference to kind of her knowledge. Then he also started talking about Beyonce a little bit, which I thought was very interesting. And matter of fact, today, Tom earlier sent me a video, actually for him talking about Beyonce's new album and different things. And it resonates with this piece on 161. He talked a little bit about how Beyonce, when she was young, her and I guess the group Destiny's Child, they went through all these talent shows and they would lose. And I even remember myself seeing her on Star Search.
Yeah.
And I thought they was such a cute group. I remember this when they showed us. I remember that.
Wow.
and so they talked about how they would lose these different talent shows, and to some point, some degree, she just got tired. She's like, I just want to be normal. I don't want to keep doing this. And she told, I think, her old dad or something like that. But then he ended up taking them to see In Vogue. Am I right, Tom?
Right, In Vogue.
In Vogue, to see the concert in Houston. And they, of course, she loved them and things like that. And they were able to go backstage to see In Vogue. And I guess they asked them word of advice, and they said, believe. Believe. Only thing they said was believe. And so I think it motivated her to go back and to start to go back to thinking, okay, we can really do this. And of course, now, all of it is history now. But, of course, Queen Bee is the Queen Bee.
Absolutely. Yeah.
and
yes, she is.
I think this resonates that fear.
Yes.
The rejection that you just talked about. We all have it.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of that. It was like some point in her life, she was questioning what she was doing. She didn't think she could do it.
Yeah.
She was to the point where she wanted to stop, but she had the courage. Something pushed her in the right direction because she never really gave up. So it's kind of like you said, some people fall flat. Some people, they don't make it the first time. So but they pick themselves up, they dust themselves off, and they continue to push on. And then the success comes because you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
It's not,
we know we have it, we know we have the talents and the strengths. I don't even like saying potential, but we have it. So we should just be confident. Like, it's okay. Just keep on going because you know who you are. Like I can't remember who said it, but just knowing who you are, you read it early. Knowing who you are and all your talents and strength. And I think just sticking to that, like, what's within you, know what you have. We know what we have to offer. So, but it takes just like what we're doing. Like you said, this book has already changed. It's kind of like just opened my eyes and my way of thinking. I'm already doing my savings different. My daughter's savings. I was saving, but my mindset wasn't as what I'm reading right now. Right. So this is really good. It's kind of like igniting something in me. So yeah, I think it's good. I'll be checking on you even after the book. Yeah.
That's what we should do is is not necessarily hold each other accountable, but really be a what's the word? Be of my brain is stopped because I got a migraine. I apologize. But I really be a collaborator of our dreams, of each other's dreams, and really say, okay, keep making sure that we're uplifting each other and making sure that we're being each other's cheerleader. Absolutely. Because sometimes we get into those ruts. And I'll be honest with you, you know how many times I probably applied for something else higher than the job I have.
We have.
And you the same way. And it's kind of like, oh no, well, you were great, but whatever that was. And sometimes at some points, it can really, truly take its toll on you. But what you have to realize is that what's for you is for you. And so, just having someone to hold you accountable, but also someone to walk the path with you. Yeah. I think that's why I think this book club is really good because it kind of helps us all keep each other inspired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're not all going to have the same goals, but we all have a goal. And I think that's the biggest thing. Because like even with, and hi, Lauren. Hi, how are you today? Thanks for joining.
Hey, how you doing, sis? I'm glad to be here. I'm just listening and learning.
No problem at all. Just jump in when you feel led to, if you want to. I was going to say Mary J. Blige came up, and of course, Mary J. is my entertainer.
Love Mary J.
Loves Mary J. I think Mary J. and Usher. That's what my ears perked up because those are my two favorite male and female entertainers. Other than that, we'll round it out would be Earth, Wind, and Fire. But when I was talking about Mary J., and of course I know her story, talking about her having a cassette tape and all these different things, and how she went to a recording studio and recorded Anita Baker's song, and how that tape finally got over to someone at Uptown Records. And by here it just kind of says Puffy, but that's not really what happened.
Right,
Puffy just didn't get. She wasn't friends with Puffy. That ain't what happened. But nevertheless, he wrote that in here. My point of saying that is that, you know, something in her drove her to do that. And so it's little things that we do each and every day, like you said, the vision boards, talking to our friends, looking up research, going on vacation, and looking at the properties that we're seeing, and all these little things that we're doing to set us up for success. And just like with her story, she didn't think that cassette tape was going to get her anywhere. She didn't think that, but those were chain reactions. Every action she did was the next step to the next step that led to another step for someone picking that tape up and saying, you know what, Andre Harrell needs to hear this at Uptown Records. And he heard that tape, and then they were able to sign her. And of course, she's the queen of hip hop soul.
Absolutely.
And so that's another queen that we're talking about today. And so it's kind of like, you know, but she grew up in poverty. You know, in her stories, you know, she grew up with a lot of different things going on in her life, and she's talked about that several times, and how all those things could have discouraged her, but it was a drive in her that pushed her forward, that she knew is something more. And guess what her gift was? It was singing. It was singing that brought her out of poverty, out of Yonkers, New York. So those are the things. It's like she tapped into that gift. And that's what Dr. Kimbrough is saying, is that when you find your gift, you find your talent, then when you resonate with it, then you start to harness it. You start to use that talent. Then what happens, God is going to create the doors of opportunity. But guess what? You got to walk. You got to walk through them. And that's why having these faith, everybody talked about faith. They talked about faith. They didn't know how they were going to get out of poverty. They didn't know how they were going to make their wealth. They just knew they had something bigger than themselves. That's phenomenal. They all knew it. All knew it. Even, I think it was Clara Harris is one of those ladies. They said that she started off with a lemonade stand and started off with her brother cutting grass. She knew how to be an entrepreneur at a young age. And so what happened, it was just the next step. Matter of fact, I think it was the lady with Burger King. But my point of saying this is that all of the traits were that they knew they had something bigger than themselves. They knew that they had a talent. What that talent was, they probably didn't know, you know, at an early age, but once they figured it out, they started to use it. And I think that's the biggest thing here. So I'm gonna let a couple of you guys talk.
Can I chime in something real quick?
Yes.
Hey, yeah. Well, thank you for welcoming me to the call. Hey, I just want to chime in real quick. You know, you said something about the gift, and that kind of stirred something in me. You know, the Bible says your gift will make room for you. You know, whatever that is, and you know, like you said earlier, a lot of times early on, you don't know what that gift is, but you keep trying different things. And I just read something about Oprah Winfrey. I didn't even know this when she was in high school. It might have been eighth grade. I don't know. But she won a speech contest. I didn't know this. She won a speech contest. And that right there was a catalyst to her starting what she did in her life, in her career. I mean, we know how big she is now, but that one little step she took to do that speech contest, and she won it, you know, amongst her peers. And that was the start of Oprah. I had no idea that. I just read that yesterday. I was just Googling someone on Oprah, and that was the start of something. So I just want to encourage all of us on this call. Don't despise small beginnings, because we all got to start somewhere. We got to start somewhere, and we just got to trust God, and we got to believe God, and take that step of faith. You know, Steve Harvey talks about jumping. You know, that's taking a step of faith, man. Just you believe in God, just go for it. Just go for it. Like Nike, just do it. All right. That's all I want to add there. Back to you guys.
No, that's great, Lord. I think it's the insatiable wanting to be better than ourselves. And I think that just comes along regardless. People who know they have something bigger than themselves, they just know it and they do it, and it just comes out. And that's why that you have the next step. Like, as we say, order thy steps. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is a direct influence of the Creator, God, saying this is what you should be doing to get to your destiny. But you gotta listen to me. You still got free will. but you listen to me, I'm gonna get you where you need to be. And I think that's kind of what we're saying here. I know, Miss Linda, look, welcome. I see that you're online. I didn't see you on. I apologize. So welcome, Miss Linda. Okay, she may be on mute. But I was going to say the next thing I wanted to kind of talk about, just the same thing we were saying, was Lisa Price, who was over Carol's daughter. I know this was on page 164, 165, and how they talked about her particular story, how she was just tired of things just being marketed to certain ethnic groups, and she wanted to make lotions and different things for people that look like her. And so she started to get in the kitchen and start to bring around oils and lotions and different things like that. And that's how Carol's daughter started off in her kitchen. And so she talked about that a little bit, how she came in and she was actually doing really well in her business. I think she was a screenwriter. That's what it was. She was a well-known screenwriter, and she just said, hey, you know what? This is not for me. It's something else that I need to be doing. And so she started to cook up these different things. And of course, she had different people, investors, and different people celebrities. And I remember this. I think I remember this during this time. I'll tell you how old I am. Reading about how these different celebrities like Halle Berry, Jay-Z, Jada Pinkett Smith, and different people who were customers of hers, and then how her business just grew and grew and grew. And they were saying at the time, I think of this book reading, it was saying that she had about, let me see, how much was her sales? I can't read it. I may have not highlighted, but they were just saying how she had over 300 products, and looks like she had products that was now in Dillard's, Sephora, Macy's, and she had, it says a multi-million-dollar business, and has 7 stores and 85 employees. Of course, I know it's way more than that now because this publishing is a little bit behind, but I see Carol's daughter on HSN all the time. I try to hit the button to click stuff and get stuff. But my point of saying is that she had a successful job, but she didn't feel fulfilled. And so she knew it was something bigger out there for her. And so started her own business with a lot of lotions and products and oils and stuff come to play. And now she's her own businesswoman, but she knew it was a yearning to do something more. And I think that's what we're all saying here, is that at some point, once you get that promotion, or once you don't get the promotion, maybe you don't even get it, and there's something else bigger out there and better for you, then what is the next step? What do we need to be doing? We need to start thinking a little bit differently, refine our thinking to where, okay, what is it that I need to be doing, that I want to get up each morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and get ready to have the gusto and go? I think that's what we need to be looking at. So couple other things. I know we got about 10 minutes, and then I'll let you guys chime in. It talks about Les Brown as well. And I thought this was really, really good. Talked about him and his life, and talked about him being a motivational speaker. Of course, definitely dear to my heart and different things like that. But it talked about him growing up, how he was taken in, if I'm thinking correctly, in Miami, and that he was raised from it was a foster mother, right? Am I correct?
Right.
Mamie Brown, him and his twin brother, Leslie, if I'm thinking correctly. And so just talking about how they were brought up, and how Les was told at some point that he was educatable, mentally retarded.
Right.
That's absolutely insane.
Right. And he believed it.
And he believed it.
And he was a professor. He used to tell people that.
He ended up meeting a teacher that was that kind of was one of his mentors in life. And I think at some point in a class one particular day, he said it to that particular teacher, Mr. Washington. And he said, I think what Mr. Washington said, he asked him to go to the chalkboard or blackboard or something to do something. And Les told him he couldn't do it because he was classified as mentally retarded. And that teacher told him, don't ever say that again. He told him right then, don't you dare say that to anybody else. Don't you let anybody limit you. Don't you let anybody put some type of limitation or some type of stigma on you. And I remember, guys, and I know, Tom, I probably told this to you myself, but that happened to my brother. That happened to my own brother. And this is why we got to be careful with our Black children. We got to be very careful what we put into them, because I know my brother was told in school that he was slow. And I was like, what? Told my grandparents, because I know we were raised by my grandparents and different things like that. They told him he was slow, and they wanted to put him in a resource class. I think that's what they called it back then, resource. And for some kind of way, guys, I heard my grandparents talking about it. And I come from a small, modest home, so I could hear it. And I went in and I spoke to my grandfather, and I was like, please don't do that. Please don't put him into a resource class, because that's gonna limit how he feels about himself. I don't know where it came from in my brain. I think I was maybe about 13, 14 years old, but I had enough sense to know that that was gonna limit my brother. Mm-hmm. And so I begged and pleaded with them, and they didn't put him in the class. They refused it. They're like, no, our grandson is not gonna be labeled as slow or whatever you want to call him. And my brother has a degree in electrical engineering from MTSU. So he couldn't be slow. That's engineering. Right, so, right. God be the glory that, sometimes people try to put these labels or limitations or these different things on you, and you have to know better. And so I just thank God that this particular person, Mr. Washington, stepped up in Les Brown's life. And just imagine who he would have been if this one person, this one influential person in his life did not speak up and say, hey, wait a minute, you don't allow anyone to put a limitation on you. So, that's the reason why sometimes we don't know when we speak to people, God leads us to say certain things to a person we never met. We may not even know, but we have really been able to kind of have something on our hearts or our mind or our soul. Something comes to us and say, hey, you're going to be great one day, or you're going to do this one day. And then they look at you like, how do you know that? Because something spoke to me. And I think that's kind of why you have to have these positive speaking people on your life to get you out of the fear. Remember, Tasha, we were talking about that earlier, that fear. He had a fear of getting in front of people. But guess what now? He's speaking to millions on millions of people.
But I was going to say to you, I think that's because the gift was already in you. You want to be a motivational speaker. You see things in others that others may not see. So you like to motivate and coach and develop people. I think that gift has always been in you. So that's one of your, I think, major gifts. Because like you said, it's a passion. It's something you can do all day without getting paid. And even at 14, saying, no, my brother is not. And look at him now being an engineer. Wow. That's one of your gifts. That's what just came to me as you was talking. Gave me chills.
Yeah, girl. Ooh, it gave me chills. It gave me chills because, like you said, you think about these things in life. Yeah. How, if you think back, you've always had these gifts. You've always had them, but they resonate in different ways. And you try to keep your faith and you try to keep positive on it. But like you said, the doubt, the fear, the limits, all those things come to play. But then we have to reset ourselves. Remember, we got to rethink, re-steer our thinking. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of where this book really goes in, just talking about, Les Brown talks about, he talks about Carla Harris again. I've read a couple of things out of there too. He talks about, let's see, it says it is easier being you than trying to be someone else. He talks about that. He said, I found my niche. I selected a vocation based on my abilities, aptitude, and strong desire to become financially independent. No amount of positive or wishful thinking can make you something that you're not. And he is telling the truth there. Am I right, guys? Is he telling the truth there?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. A career is, and this right here, this last piece that I have highlighted on on 169, it says, a career is what you're paid for. A calling is what you're made for. And I know that's Steve Harvey. Yeah, I know for a fact that's Steve Harvey. Yeah. And Steve Harvey has said that so many times that when I heard it the first time, I heard it through John Maxwell on one of his Admitted by Maxwell's, and he talked about how Steve Harvey came on and they had this ultimate conversation. And I think I even saw the broadcast that myself, and he talked about that. He was like, your job is what your career is what you make money through, but your passion, your calling is what you made for. Right. And it just makes a total difference, because when you know what you've been called for, you know what you've been trying to achieve, then it oozes out of you. Mm-hmm. Your greatness comes up. You ooze all that stuff. So I mean, I think this, this particular chapter, he really just talks about your gifts. He talks about how the wealthy decides up and first and foremost, how they're going to make whatever their passion is going to be what they do. They already decide that. That's something that I think some of us, we have to start deciding, okay, what are we going to put into play that's going to be our passion, that's going to drive us to be successful. We can't just have the status quo. We just can't have someone to tell us what our job is, what our career is. We have to start making these decisions for ourselves. And I think that's some of what this particular chapter is talking through. It says, unfortunately, millions of have-nots float about from one occupation to another. It's on page 174. From one business to another, from one trade to another. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make sure I can read it, guys. Pursuing one idea today and another tomorrow. Then it says rowing upstream, chasing someone else's dream because it is what the proper thing to do, or choosing a career simply because a friend, family member, or associate instructed them to do so. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. When I saw that, I was like, that is so true with a lot of us, even probably with me at some point in my life, because someone said, oh, you'll be good at this. Why don't you do that? And then I'm like, okay, that don't sound too bad, because I didn't have a clear goal of what I wanted. Yeah. So I just assumed and I took on what someone else told me. Have y'all done that before?
Oh, yeah.
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 Even Dr. Dennis, in one of his videos, he speaks about being inner directed as opposed to outer directed. You don't. It's like getting financial advice mm-hmm. from somebody that have a job. So I mean, really, that's the extreme. But we all should be inner directed and decide what we want to do. Because I might meet Tasha and say, you'd be good at this, but you just said. You like real estate. Mm-hmm. You just said that you do cosmetology. You just said that you're looking to do this lip balm thing. Mm-hmm. So for me to tell you that you'd be good at selling cars, just because I see that's probably that's not the choice for you. But so you should be inner directed based on what you feel you could accomplish. And as we see, and as you see in the book with the gentleman that started with the Winbush guy that started singing, fate turned on him and he ended up doing something totally different.
Right.
Yeah. And that's because he knew who he was and what he had to offer, right. I think.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But that's crazy, because he was going in one direction.
And then
it took him a totally direction. But what if he hadn't listened to that? What if he said, no, I want to be a singer?
But the lesson there I see is that he started. All the guys will tell you, you don't have to be great to be started. I mean, you don't have to be great to get started, but to get started, but you can be great. You don't have to be great to get started, but get started to be great. So so the important thing is just to start somewhere and then see where it goes.
Yeah, I think one of the examples, the guy said he made $5 on that first business adventure, but it was the best $5 because he learned so many lessons that first time. Right. Maybe it was a failure, but the lessons that he learned made him successful for the next business.
Right.
So just getting started. I agree. Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing even here, and I know I'm going to definitely respect you guys' time. I'm going to say this and then read this last thing and then we'll wrap it up. But I was going to say, even with me, with this book club, I know this particular one really was a brainchild of Miss Barbara Whitten. But I also know that with me with this with my John Maxwell, we have a lot of masterminds, master classes that we do. And so I was like, okay, what can I really do that? Do I really? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't really want to do something like this, but this was the steps that the Lord wanted me to take to show me, but yeah, you can. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you before you even really want to do one. And so when Ms. Barbara brought this up, I was like, okay, I'll do it and everything. And so now I'm doing it already. But see, but sometimes they put people in your life, or they put things in place to push you at your comfort zone that you didn't even know that was your comfort zone. You didn't even know that you were thrilled of it. And so I think this is kind of one of the things that goes to show there is that, you know, you gotta push past your comfort in order to get to where you want to be. So if with him, he didn't have any idea that cell phone was going to be to his millions. He didn't have a clue. But it got him where he needed to be. Excuse me. So last thing I want to talk through on page 173, guys, it says the fourth law of wealth obligates men and women like Lisa Price, Carla Harris, Les Brown, Valerie Daniels Carter, that's who it is with the Burger King franchises, to once they uncover their unique gifts and move immediately, they fight it out as long as it takes, devote themselves to a single financial goal, and then live hand to mouth if necessary, and not care about the opinion of others. Right. So I thought that was really good too. I wanted to read that because it's what we have to realize is that we have to do what it takes to preserve our gift, regardless of what that is, what anybody thinks about it, and whatever sacrifice you have to make. You want to make sure that you're continuously trying to hone into what that particular piece is and go forward. So I would say, excuse me, guys, for next week, I know we want to, I'll say we're pretty much done with 4. I think that's on there. The only thing they were saying on page 182, it just says millionaire lesson number 5. Millionaires understand that they possess an innate talent and gifts, that they accentuate their positive strengths and skills. They refuse to permit what they cannot do to interfere with what they can do. What they are is ultimately or uniquely gifted to do. So let me read that last part again. What they are uniquely gifted to do. So they're not going to allow anything to stop them from doing what they are uniquely gifted to do. So that's lesson 5 out of chapter 4. Next week, let's be ready to talk through chapter 5. How may I serve thee? Talking about that 5th law of wealth, and we'll go forward from there. Do anybody want to make any last statements before we leave?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining today. Been a great talk, great lesson today, and we'll see you guys next week, okay?
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.